There's a update on the contract with construction CMS.
I understand it was executed. I was gonna get it today. There we go. How do you like that?
you
Done.
like
Second item.
Well, we're all set on that, right?
Thank you.
Did the price come down 50%?
I think that's what Neil told me, yeah.
Because Greg's next, and we're gonna knock him down.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
Okay, the design and services contract, we okayed that the other night at the selectmen's meeting.
Thank you.
So that just matter of,
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen accepted your proposal as presented, and right now, Mr. Correll and I are working on the contract.
okay.
Yep, we'll get that
Yep.
underway as soon as we can.
Yep.
We're not gonna stop, we'll just keep moving forward in anticipation of
Yeah,
getting the.
that's what we
paperwork
discussed.
done. Yeah.
So that brings us down to the update on the designer services. Now, I understand that you and the two chiefs met sometime in the last couple of weeks and went over kind of the original plan.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, there were some changes made. Can you give us a little update on what was done and what the effect on the project might be with those?
Okay, starting with first things last.
Yeah, whatever, yep.
The effect on the project is really not significant.
Okay.
What we tried to do, there were some fairly significant changes to the police station design, but we didn't change the square footage, and we actually simplified how we're building it. So I'm comfortable that budget-wise, we're probably in the same area.
Okay.
Okay, and the changes to the fire station.
Let me interrupt you for 1 second. I failed at the beginning of the meeting to say that the meeting's being recorded
Okay,
for television. It's not being live, but it will be shown later on the TV, so just be aware that we're being recorded visually
okay,
and voice. So with that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, so police, there were some extensive changes, but it shouldn't affect the overall strategy of the project, budget and so forth. Fire station, the changes were very, very minor to the, to the plan. I think we can still look at things as we go forward. We're gonna get into design development, so we'll have the opportunity to tweak and refine. But by and large, it's pretty close to the same plan we had, so there's not an impact overall on that either. So, I have the drawings of what we're what we were working on. Chief Dumas hasn't seen these yet, so it's gonna be a surprise to everybody. I'd be happy to show those to you.
Okay, yeah, why don't we go ahead and take a look at those?
Perhaps let's start quickly with fire, because that was the less involved.
That's great.
Jeez,
Incredible. So where is fire? You have fire here, man?
Yep,
Yeah, here we go.
that's
Fire. Here's fire. Yeah. Now, fire, really, the only change that we made is that this room here was the watch room, and this was the first aid room, and we flipped them.
Okay,
So that, otherwise, it's everything you've been looking at to date.
what is the watch room? What does that do?
Where our radios would be, anything coming in the buildings, we'd have a radio in there, so when the building's staffed, we can talk.
Okay, all right.
And it's,
So it's like almost a little mini
Little
dispatch
dispatch,
office
yeah.
type office, okay.
And I think part of the reason for moving it forward is historically, a watchroom likes to have a view of the front apron.
Okay.
So they can see
Right,
who's
yeah.
coming and going and what have you. So that's basically the change that we made.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything else is pretty well the same.
Now, this, just one quick question, there's no basement under any of this, right?
No,
This is
there-
strictly a
all on grade.
slab. Now, is this grade, I might be jumping the gun a little bit. During the interviews we had for one group or the other, I don't remember which one, it had to be for when CMS was like, we talked about the grade up there and the need to bring in soils and maybe raise it up, although I looked at it later on, and the police station is a little bit below grade anyway of the street. So I assume the fire will be at the same level, more or less?
At this juncture, yeah, we haven't gone too far with that right now. So the next time we meet, I'll have some
Okay.
better information as to what we're doing
All right.
with respect to topography. Police, we have a couple of schemes. They're almost identical.
Can we call this a garage?
That,
No, I'll know
Thank you.
now.
that's the garage.
That's a nemesis. We don't want to call it
We've
that.
been talking about that for 2 years now. This is the existing building. What we did, the original design had the addition kind of wrapped around the building,
Okay.
okay? Which
Right.
did some positive things, but from a construction point of view, and I think Paul can bear us out on this, it makes it a lot more complicated because you're trying to incorporate new construction into the existing exterior walls, the existing roof, everything. You have this pretty complicated connection. How do you frame it? How do you do it? We basically dropped back and said, we're going to attack this thing kind of the same way the modular buildings are attached to the police station. Namely, here's the existing building, we have a connection, and then we have the new building. Okay? This makes this portion of the building much easier to build. You put in the foundation, build it. You're not interfering with the existing.
This is the same thing. There's no foundation under this. It's a slab.
That's correct. That's correct. The only basement is what's under the existing space. It also allows something else to happen, and the circulation's a little tight, but one of the issues was this garage wanted to be a drive-through. And when this was parked over here, it had to be an in and out affair. This way, you actually will be able to drive a car through it. And I think makes
Makes
an improvement.
like a good idea.
Overall, the rest of it is some things that I think the chief and I have to kind of go over in detail. Part of the program changes is that we didn't need a roll call room, and instead we have some additional workstations. And I wanted to talk at length with these workstations and these workstations. I need to get a better picture of exactly how they're going to be used and what they're going to be used for. But we've got them in here.
Okay.
Okay. We also added a fitness room, which wasn't in the original design, which is up here. It's not huge, but there's enough room for some treadmills and maybe some weight racks and stuff like that. The way it actually operates, we enlarge the lobby. You come into the lobby. Again, you have dispatch here. You have the detention area in the back. Public access would be through here. You have an OIC and a family conference room. This is where you would do firearms licensing and so forth. One of these rooms, it could work either way. You come into this way, you're immediately into the meeting room without having to breach the secure part of the station. You also have bathrooms to use for the meeting room. Continue down the hall. We did put administration here so that you can do public business again without getting into the operational part of the building. This area of the building is this is administration. So you have your administrative assistant, lieutenant, the chief's office, and so forth in this suite, which is lockable. You can close this down and it becomes an after hours. Nobody goes in there. And then the rest of this area here, this is all patrol. So you have sergeant's offices, patrol officers, place to do reports and so forth in this whole area here. And then the lockers, toilets, showers, male and female in the back with a fitness room. Access, staff access would be this way, public access is over here. And we ended up with an extra door over here, which, being near detectives, if you wanted to bring in an informant or you wanted some kind of discreet entrance for really anybody, you can come in the back of the building. So that's a kind
That's
of
a
an
good idea,
extra
yeah.
little feature. The basement stays pretty much as it is. We have evidence, armory, record storage. We added a fume hood in the armory, or in the rather in evidence, and we'll also have a fume hood in the armory as well for ventilating what do you call it, firearms, the solvents and so on. So that's the change. Square footage wise, we're pretty close to where we were. So cost-wise, I think we're still on budget intuitively. And with the approval of this as a concept, we're going to send this to our estimator and have him update the numbers.
Now, how does that look to you, Chief? Is it,
Yeah, this is what we talked about, my whole goal when we first looked over the plan was I wanted to have that drive-through in there,
Yeah.
The accidents, you can get any kind of study backing up, you're gonna get accidents. But I also wanted the public flow area to, just be towards the front of the building, so when they come in, they could just go into this area and out, and have every access, means. And also by limiting the the patrol officers in and out, tromping with this time of year especially, you don't bring that up into the public area of the building. They're kind of limited down here. You can have a different flooring down there. It's more stout and easily to maintain. So I like the concept as far as just obviously I just want to stare at it a little bit.
Oh, yeah, this is,
Yeah.
we need to digest this for a while.
We got parking in the front? Is that the intent?
Parking is mostly in the back and in between the two
well,
buildings.
the access to is going to be between the two stations still, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thought was to have a walk around if we wanted to on that side of the building. Right.
Now, we talked about putting a lean-to.
Yeah.
Is that still included in the plan here?
It would be in the back here.
Okay. So you're going to park cruisers.
Right. Underneath.
So the access is going to be here. There's no access over here other than if you make a walkway from
Walkway,
the
yeah.
front
I mean,
parking.
we could do a drive around, depending on,
Square footage in the land, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
but we'll
You
look
really
at
need to have the civil engineer take a good look at it.
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Same civil engineer that you always use.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joey, got any comments, or Debbie, anybody else got any comments? Those the same.
The only,
Now, this, just one question here on the lobby. The lobby now is claustrophobic, to say the least. So is this like twice the size, or 3 times the size, or what are you talking about? in
It's
terms of
roughly
size?
twice. It's
Right,
roughly
roughly
twice the
twice.
it's still cozy, but it's bigger.
Yeah.
And the other benefit is when we have to pull somebody in, we'll be able to pull them into this area of the building, if we get too over.
Right up in here, in other words, you got-
And
yeah.
Still within the public access.
Right,
and not
okay.
in the secured area.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference, I'm sure.
Yeah. But that'll definitely allow people to change their mind without going outside. Right.
Yeah. Now, we got the meeting room and training room. Now, how many people are we looking to make that usable for?
I believe we're designing it for 40.
Oh, really? Okay. And
I'll have to double check that.
now, on the fire department one, I didn't look at that, I didn't have to notice.
40.
Be 40?
Yeah, because if we have a class come in from the fire academy, it's geared for 40 people, so we have enough room in it. Also, you're not on top of each other.
Right. Now, is that one in the, I assume the fire department one is one where we can use for emergency management?
The plan is to make put the phone jacks and what have you in so
Have
you
it so
can
we
do
can
it.
switch that over to
Correct.
emergency management.
Yep.
What do you wanna call it?
Reconfigure the desks and
Right.
And frankly, they both will. I mean, that's really just a matter of low voltage wiring and
Right.
floor boxes.
Right.
So
You should have it in both.
you just plug in and you're there. It's not
Okay.
the infrastructure will be there. How you use it, you can use one or the other, or God forbid something happens at one of the stations and you need to.
Right.
You have a redundancy. So
Let me just ask a question in the meeting room. When you say 40, is that 40 sitting at tables or 40 just in open chairs?
it's 40 sitting at tables.
Okay.
Basically.
So-
It's rows of
So
tables.
basically you could, if you just wanted to have an assembly type, you could actually probably get another 10 or 20 chairs in there.
We base it on loose seating.
Yeah.
So it's 20 square feet per person.
Okay.
So
Good. Now, we gonna need an emergency exit out of that room?
not at 40, but
Okay.
it's not a bad idea to do that. Just
Yep, right.
Yeah, I
And
was
the other-
thinking
the other
like here
thing
you
is-
could possibly
Right,
have an exit.
Right, and that you could also, if you had an entrance in there, we know that was someone, it would be a door that we could secure or not secure, so if we know-
Right.
without having to come into the dispatch and
Right.
being let in.
Right.
So,
It's nice too if you're doing any kind of training where you have to deliver stuff, if there's any kind of
Right.
teaching aids or even furniture, you can bring it right in rather than,
yeah.
Well, something like voting, I mean, if you use that room for voting, it'd be perfect. You open the door, they just come in and go out,
and secure the inside doors.
Hmm?
So, and secure the
Yeah,
inside
right,
doors so
yeah.
nobody can, yeah. Yeah.
I just think, when you size it for 40 and the doors are, thing for 40, we know what's gonna happen. Somewhere along the line, somebody's gonna wanna do it for a general assembly,
Sure.
and you're gonna exceed it, and then the fire chief's gonna come over and say, hey, chief,
We just won't bite.
Actually, building inspector.
Oh,
Oh, those pesky.
We'll have the signs up telling you how many you
Yeah.
can do. But,
And one last feature just to mention is that we are showing a stair going up to an unfinished attic. So some or all of the second floor will be conventionally framed, so that's space that's available for now for storage,
okay.
and then for whatever else you may need in the future.
Yeah, because right now, there's nothing going to the attic, right? I mean, I think when Kevin originally had that office in the corner, and then there was talk about if we ever needed to, we'd put a stairway up to that front corner
On that
office.
side here, yeah.
no, but this is gonna be great, because you'd be surprised how it's gonna get filled,
Oh.
yeah.
Space
The
is never
problem you
enough
have is that
space.
anything you should be throwing out, they end up putting it upstairs. I don't know why, but that's what happens.
It's like my house.
Yeah, we're all the same. The basement here is full, the stage upstairs is full, the second balcony. All right. That looks good. They both look good. So any last minute changes you're gonna handle with those guys?
Well, as I said, we have to spend some time going through the plan and tweaking out again. This is really a first blush, and there are a number of things that we've already thought about that we might want to change. For example, and these are to think about for our next meeting. This corridor may not be necessary. The idea here is you have administration, and you have access from administration to the patrol area this way. But if you want a convenient access from here to the back of the house, we gave you a door and a corridor. If doing this is not is adequate, or maybe flipping this around so the corridor is here somehow, this whole thing could become detectives or something else. There's some square footage here that we can probably utilize for something else other than a hallway. It's those kinds of
Right.
those kinds of things that I'd like to spend some time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gotta be 100 square feet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good sized area, and then you can reduce some
And
hallway
I
space
hate
without.
Yeah.
Right.
I just hate corridors. So it's
Yeah.
if you don't need it, we'll do something else and so forth.
Okay.
But we have enough, subject to another review with the chiefs. We can get this estimated and get that underway.
Yeah, because my main concern here, obviously, is we keep the prices, whatever, it doesn't
Right.
matter to us how we want the internal workings of both buildings to be
Yeah.
satisfactory to the chiefs and the departments.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're more concerned about, getting the project done for what we have the money for.
Yeah.
And making it, as usable as possible.
Yep.
So, no, it looks good.
Yeah, it does.
So what's your what's your next step beyond this now?
The next few days, we'll sit down, take another run at it, and then get the estimate, and then we'll. I expect it'll take a couple of weeks to kind of, assuming that there aren't any dramatic changes, we get the numbers back in. That will make sure that we're still all on track and that we don't have to do any major surgery. Assuming that we don't, probably 3 or 4 weeks to wrap up schematics, and then another 4 to 6 weeks to get into design development. We'll start attaching the details, the materials, the systems to it. In addition, I've got our civil engineer engaged on this, so he's underway with
Oh, good.
doing
That's
site
the
investigation.
next question, yeah.
We're gonna need to do a bunch of stuff. We're gonna need to get borings.
Yeah, I'd like to get the
Borings
borings
done.
going sooner than later,
Yep.
just in case we find something out there that needs you to tweak the building a
Yeah,
little bit one way or another, you
Right.
know?
And we should also see what we have in the way of the survey.
Mhm.
If we have anything of the property, we may. If we don't, we're probably gonna have to do something about that.
I think
Yeah.
one of the critical issues in the construction process is maintaining as much field parking space as we can.
Okay.
I mean, that's something that when you talk to the civil engineer and so on and so forth, that, because those ball fields, mainly in the spring, I think somewhat in the fall too, but the spring is when, in the summertime, the big baseball field gets used pretty much all summer. Springtime, it's just it's a nightmare up there with the parking.
yeah.
It's
So-
when we
Fall
get,
is probably a little bit less intensive, but it also packs in pretty good, so.
when we get the civil plan, it'll tell us a little bit more, because one of the things we're gonna need to do, although we don't have the plan now, so there's no reason to get in it, but you can start thinking about it, is the contract that requires laydown area. So, this lot as it is somewhat tight, you know, it's gonna be really difficult to maintain the same amount of cars, I would think. But let's see what the civil engineer says.
Well, I think if we get a plan, I think one of the things we may have to look at is we can develop some more parking spaces out there.
Okay.
Independent of this project.
Okay.
But if we get these civil, that part of it to us, we can take a look, and then in the Springtown meeting, hopefully, if we have to, put a little money together to increase
Okay.
the regular, which we probably want to do anyway up there. But, we may have to do it, because the last thing we need is everybody screaming at us that they can't get in to see their kids at the game. So legitimately,
No, I
mean,
understand.
that's a legitimate concern.
But I just wanna let you know, because that, you know, if you don't have enough laydown area, it could affect the overall price, because they're gonna have to have everything off-site and then try to bring it over.
No, we wanna make sure that everything is right there. I mean, it's a lot more secure when the police department's there. They can maintain, a nominal watch on what's going on in the project, and we start having to put stuff elsewhere and truck it in, truck it out is a problem.
Oh, yeah,
So, and from my perspective, if we start taking up a lot of that space, then we need to look at maybe doing some expansion at the same time, so that, might be a dual, but that'll be on us rather than on you, but as long as we have an idea of what, using a plot plan, what we're gonna need for construction space.
Yep.
Because we're running into the same situation at the school when we're doing the school project, is gonna have to be, we're gonna lose playing fields over there, so assuming that goes through. So that, we get everything stuffed in.
Right.
In the same area, trying to utilize space, it's all contiguous to each other, so it's a little difficult, but.
You're gonna start with the police and then work on the fire, or working both, or
In terms of the documents?
in the
No, the
construction?
construction, it's gonna be the police first.
Oh, yeah, police goes first.
Yeah, because otherwise we can't take the modules down to
Right,
build a fire.
right.
So right now, there's no plans there until this addition is on, right?
That's correct. That's kind of the
That'll make it
strategy.
a lot easier.
Yeah. And again, by doing it the way we're doing it, there'll be, there's gonna be some disruption, obviously, because fair amount of construction, but it's gonna limit the amount of headaches you have for, in the existing building. Because it's
The one thing that's gonna be difficult right now is where this building is going, is the current driveway.
I was just gonna say that, what are we looking at for access during the construction process for the police in particular?
We're gonna
Well, yeah,
have-
be all the police, or the fire won't be there yet.
we're gonna have to reroute some of that stuff.
Maybe a matter of
Have to come into Aaron's
using that
park.
driveway into the ball
Yeah.
fields.
Maybe over on that side.
Yes.
Widen, if we're gonna put the fire station there, we can make it actually just a temporary gravel. You probably want a separate access, just to keep it from getting bogged down during game time, but we could do something there, inexpensive, just gravel or whatever, but
Set up a parking lot and charge them.
Well, the way that the site plan is, there was gonna be an entrance for the call guys coming into the station, so you could plan on that access road, because it goes around back and
Yeah.
joins up, so that
Yeah, we could
could probably take care of the issue.
we could build that. You could
Yeah.
actually build that, you know,
Yeah.
it'd be a plowable surface that you could actually use.
Well, we're gonna make a separate road into the field and then use that Smith Lane for the access to the fire, right?
Well, the good thing about this job is that you're probably not gonna get much conflict between the ball fields and these workers, because most of these guys are gonna be absolutely out of there by 3:30.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, everything is weekends and evenings is when the
Yeah.
fields
Yeah.
are the fullest. The only other times people over there, there'd be the young kids using the playground that sits in the back there, but that shouldn't be a major problem.
We want to make sure that it's a well-secured site too,
Yep.
because,
Because of the people in the ball fields.
well, kids love to.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
It's just
yeah, that's for
fascinating
sure.
stuff to play, you know, so.
Yep,
That is for sure.
yep.
All right. What else? You got anything, Debbie, that administratively that we need to?
No, I'm gonna be working on the contract, that's the biggest thing, and
Yep.
the CMS is all set, so,
Yeah.
that's where I stand.
So
Okay.
when would you like the next
I think
meeting?
we're good.
2 weeks? Or is that too short?
Let's see your schedule, Chief.
Was it, I can meet this week if you need to.
Okay. Well, I want you to have time
Yeah.
to kind of digest.
I just want you to come here and have, some productive stuff.
Yeah, we don't wanna meet and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
kinda look at each other
Right.
for 20 minutes and then.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Hi, how are you?
So,
And the traffic in Middleton is also.
this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, what did you come, 495?
Came up
Yes.
495, figured
Yeah.
we beat the traffic on 128, and then we got stuck
Yeah.
in, as we're coming across, it's like,
Oh, okay, in Middleton Square?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's brutal.
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
The school's right around the corner there, right? When I used to do the school bus, I didn't do Middleton, but I used to listen to the bus drivers down there.
Yeah.
It was brutal when schools get in and out at 8 o'clock.
yeah.
So you'll be able to sit down with Greg
This week,
this week?
Okay.
You
So-
wanna say 3 weeks, maybe, I'll give you enough time
Well,
to.
you gotta be careful because we have a conflict on the off Wednesdays. So that's what I'm saying, if we could do it in 2 weeks, but if not, we gotta do it in 4 weeks, at least for us.
Does it have to be a Wednesday or could it be?
No, it could be any, other days.
Here.
I just wanna make sure that he's got, by the time we come here next time, it'd be nice to have a draft of the civil,
Yeah, I'd rather give him an extra week to.
you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
To,
and then, get going. Because basically what he's saying is that for this board, there's not much that we have to get approval from here. As long as these two guys are happy with the interior, let them just keep working,
Right,
especially the time it takes them to get here. You know, we just picked up a half a day,
yep.
oh, yeah, no, I mean, in other words,
you know? No, seriously, you know what I mean? You know, it's incredible.
well, really, if, in other words, if you guys could keep working and
Yeah.
if there's nothing major being done, unless Debbie sees a need for
No, because
administratively.
we'll have the contract
Yeah.
approved by the selectmen, and they meet all the time, so, I won't need to go through this committee.
Let's do this, if I
Less
can make it
meetings are
really.
better.
Let's just tentatively pencil in next 2 weeks from today, and then me and you will talk. And if we find there's issues that we need to bring to the committee, then we hold it. If not, we'll push it out another couple of weeks or
About
another
another
week.
couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't be afraid to say,
Oh, no.
we need 2 more weeks, okay?
Yeah, no, because you know what? I'm more concerned about them keeping working
Yeah,
than
no, I am
coming
too.
here. Because, as you
interior
said,
can
you're just waiting for
fluctuate
those
the
guys to
height
make
to
sure
the
everything's okay.
basic section.
The next thing that we really need to talk about with this board is the civil in the grounds, because we pretty much got the building, except for tweaking a few things, pretty much down pat. So let's get the civil guy, let's get him to do his work. Let's see if we can get the borings done ASAP. We'll check on the survey. If the town doesn't have one, let's get it going.
I don't think we
Okay,
do. I
then,
mean, the field,
yeah.
that was laid out there and.
I didn't think you would
I
either,
was in the
because
building
it's kind of an
committee for
old area.
that building that's there.
Right.
and I think we just stuck it in the middle of the
Yeah.
property basically
Okay.
because there wasn't
Yeah.
a matter of what the sidelines
Right.
were. or anything,
So I'd say get that going.
Do you have a local surveyor that you like to use?
Well, we've used, we have a number of surveyors that we could call. Is that something that I should be doing on my own, but
It's a reimbursable to him, so if you
Okay.
could do it on your own,
yeah,
it's better for the town.
okay.
And we can hunt, if you want us to reach out and say, what I'll do is I'll have our civil engineer put together a criteria,
Sure.
the kind of a list of what we're looking for. The only reason I'm suggesting locally, because, I mean, we have surveyors, but there's gonna be a premium to drag them up from
Yeah,
the
no,
South
we
Shore.
have a
fine.
number of them.
Yeah,
We
we-
use Meridian,
Yeah.
Donahoe,
Okay.
so, they've done a number of projects for us. So I could, whichever one you think you know, they're
Yeah,
both
the
reputable.
local guy's gonna know where he can pick up the points.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you're gonna get some guy out of town, he's gonna say, wait a minute, where do I start?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know?
no, exactly.
Meridian, that's Scott Linden, right?
I
think
don't
that's-
know.
Yeah, they did the Coughlin's project across the street, so they definitely know
They know
where all
the
those
points.
Yeah,
points
Meridian
are.
has done work right down there,
Yeah.
and they've done work for us on the ball fields and stuff like that, so that's
So you'll
fine.
proceed to
Yep.
get that underway, Greg will send something to you?
Yep.
Is 10 o'clock easier than 9 from where you're coming from?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes, it
oh,
would
yeah,
be.
no, definitely make it,
That'd be good.
on
So what date?
whatever you guys want.
25th
Oh.
at 10?
Yeah, we're gonna say that 2 weeks from today, and we're gonna pencil it in, me and you are gonna talk several days before, and if we don't need it, we'll scrub it and pick, the 2 weeks after that.
So
That's
that's-
next week, so it's the 20th.
So we're talking the 25th, and we're gonna
25th.
make that at 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
Is it, is it?
25th at 10?
Probably have to drop it back to 9. I have a bid opening at 2 o'clock that afternoon in Dartmouth. So,
Oh, perfect, 9 o'clock, I love it.
okay.
Okay.
That's a lot of windshield time that day, but that's,
Yeah, that's like ups and ends of the country there.
Yeah, you're gonna, for sure. And like I say, if everything's going along, you don't need it, then
Yeah.
we can cancel it and
okay.
talk about 2 weeks from that date.
I get spoiled, I worked 8 years in Danvers, and I don't know why I come out of Wellesley. Once you get by the Mass Pike,
Yeah,
it's a
coming
piece of
on,
cake.
yeah.
Yep.
I made the one mistake of going out there the wrong day, and I had to come back. He said, "Oh my God!"
Yep.
I said, "I might as well just camped out there."
Yep.
And, if we could get together, I'm socked in for tomorrow and Friday. Monday and Tuesday are open. Are you guys available?
Both days. What do you got, Jim?
Both days I'm open.
10 o'clock Tuesday?
Sure.
Where do you want to meet, PD?
PD?
Where do you want to
Drink.
meet?
At
That's
the
fine,
police
that's
department.
PD?
Yeah, that's good.
9 o'clock?
10?
10?
10.
10, okay, got it. Okay.
All right,
So you're gonna proceed with the borings, hopefully ASAP. Do you need anything from them to say okay?
I need to look at some proposals, find out
Yep.
what, I should ask that. I don't assume you have a geotechnical engineer that you've worked with. We have a number of them.
No, I can't say that,
Yeah,
Okay, we're fine.
I'd prefer that we keep it with them. That way, it's one package.
I agree.
Yes.
I'm gonna blame somebody, wanna blame you.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's it.
No, I see too many cases when you start
Oh.
dividing. It sounds wonderful to get a deal here and a deal there, whatever, but then when problems develop, all of a sudden it becomes a finger point.
Well, the famous one was in, I think it's Lowell, where the town insisted on hiring the geotech, and Sims and McKee did the building, and about 18 months out, the floor started settling. Ultimately, they didn't, somehow information didn't get passed on. There used to be an old dump there,
Ooh.
and they thought, the geotech thought that they could just kind of build it up and let it, the dirt sit there for a couple of years, and it would,
Well, shame on
It'll
them.
work.
I mean, that's-
$3 million mistake.
Well, that's not,
We don't need that.
No,
No, that's
No.
why I'm trying to
No.
tell you. I like
Exactly.
everything to sit with them. That
Oh,
way,
yeah.
he's communicating. There's
I've
no.
never heard of that. I've never heard of a geotech.
No, you're right.
playing that
But
game.
there are towns that try to do it.
No, that's good. And the soil out there, I think, is pretty stable.
Yeah.
From everything that's around it and everything else, I think that'll be the minimal a minimal, the only thing that's concerning is that maybe that piece of ledge comes further in than we expect, mainly for where the fire station is gonna be.
But here again, we'll just chip it down, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have to bear on it, that's fine. It's not
Yeah.
going anywhere, so that's a,
Yeah.
Right,
that's
right, oh,
about
yeah.
a-
No,
that's
no,
a pretty
for sure.
solid foundation, so.
Now, one other question, more for the geotech person, but talking about stormwater management for this. Are we looking at putting in a swale somewhere, or, you know what I mean, in terms of, I mean, there's a pretty flat ground out there, it slopes gently to the back towards the ball fields, I mean, I suppose we're gonna have.
Well, you can't let anything go off-site, so you're gonna
Right.
have to maintain it, so they're gonna have to do some tests out there. So,
Well, I didn't bring, the last time we met, I had a summary that our civil engineer put together. Stormwater management is going to be driven as much by regulation as anything else, and how that's handled. When we meet in 2 weeks, I'll have Bill Murray with us, and he can walk you through what those requirements
Okay.
are. Whether we can sheet drain to, to a swale and then somewhere. If I'm not mistaken, I think you're in well, there's a well, so it's an aquifer recharge
Yeah, it's-
area.
it is.
Zone
So
two.
whatever comes off that surface has to be treated and then reintroduced into the ground. So we know that going in. We're
Right.
just not going to be able to run it down the street and
Right,
and
right.
out. So the technical requirements for that, he'll be able to speak to
Okay.
when we meet.
so one of the things we ought to think about too is when you're talking to Bill and getting all the, well, I don't know, if Bill is gonna be the one to write up the document that you gotta get. Ultimately gonna have to do some test pits out there. So if he could kinda start deciding where he may want those, and then we'll work with the DPW and the Board of Health
Right.
to come out and inspect those and coordinate them. Okay?
The only other thing is when the geotech was out there and starts doing some work, can you just let Debbie know, or if the chief knows? and
this-
In other words, we wanna make sure,
Yeah.
so if we get calls here, what's going on out there, we can,
Yeah.
we got a prize. In
This
fact,
will-
people will be thrilled, because I keep getting questions about when they're gonna start building,
Yeah.
We gave you the money, what's taking so long?
Yeah.
We will, anything that happens out at the site,
Okay.
everybody will be notified, and we'll work,
Right,
there-
no, just to,
whatever, this isn't going to be,
once we start the building, it's
Surprise.
not a problem, but.
Yeah.
The truck isn't just gonna pull up.
We're here.
Well, no matter
told me to
what,
tear those down.
every time somebody does go inside, even though you notify these guys, the protocol should be to go in, at least tell dispatch or somebody in the police station.
Dispatch will be
Just,
sitting there shaking.
yeah, just so
while
they
the ground's
know,
being drilled.
you never know when something funny's gonna
No, no.
happen. I just like to make sure we cover all the bases,
Keep the communication open.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
We're open.
anybody got anything else then?
nothing.
You guys are satisfied at this point?
Yeah.
Do we have minutes, Debbie, for,
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody had time, so.
we can really look at it, why don't we hold them off?
Okay, sure.
We'll do them for the next meeting. That way these gentlemen can get going, I'm sure they got other places to be.
No big deal. Once you're here,
Yeah, I know it.
we
yeah.
don't mind staying.
Well, if you wanna look through the minutes, and just give a quick synopsis, it's not, Debbie and the staff here do a great job with minutes for our meetings, so we really very seldom ever have an issue.
Okay. I think we're there. Doing that, we can just start a wrap up, right?
I move we cut the minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good, very good. All right, so thank you very much, I'll take a motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Who made the motion?
Chief,
Chief.
Go ahead.
that
Chief
chief,
Dumas?
just put chief and chief. No, Chief Dumas.
Chief Dumas and
Chief
made the
Barker?
motion and the chief,
Okay, thank you.
second.